Today, the church celebrates Martin of Tours. Now, St. Martin is the patron saint of soldiers. And it's an interesting story about him because at the age of 15, he was forced to join the army. But during this time, he felt this call to serve as a Christian monk. And he felt that sense of duty and service. But he was forced to join the army, and so he struggled with this. He was sent to be part of a special cavalry regiment whose job was to protect the emperor, so he rarely saw any combat. But nevertheless, he was an unbaptized catechumen. And so there's a story of when he was sent to the garrison of Amiens in France, where he had on his horse a great regalia, and he wore great regalia, wearing a mantle, wearing a shiniest shield you can think of, and a nice sharp sword. And as he was riding into the town, through the gates, he looked and he saw a man that was half naked, and it was a cold and bitter night. And he saw him shivering, almost dying. And he gets off his horse, takes his mantle off, used his sword to cut it in two, and he gave half of it to that man, and the other half he draped on his shoulders. That night, the story goes, he had a dream. And in the dream, he saw Jesus wearing that same mantle that he gave the man. And surrounded by Jesus was angels and saints. And Jesus said, "See, this is the mantle that Martin, yet a catechumen, gave me." And at that moment, he woke up and he knew what he had to do, and he was baptized right away. He was the age of 18. This fits in perfectly to what our gospel is for today, of Jesus telling us about the end times, the coming of the Son of Man, the coming of him, of a judgment day. Now, he tells us whoever seeks to save his life will lose it, but whoever loses his life will save it. Quite simply, the things that we have, the things that we do on earth reverberate what happens in heaven. How we treat our neighbor, how we treat those that are less fortunate than we are, how we treat our brothers and sisters goes with us into our last judgment. The material things that we have, the collections that we have, stay here on earth once we die with our mortal bodies. And so the question for Judgment Day is, what have you done for the less fortunate of your brothers and sisters? I leave you with this thought. Imagine that if Jesus were to walk through your front door today and tell you, it's time. And then he asks you, what have you done to get into heaven? What will you answer?